Hi students. So today we take the lesson from where we left from yesterday. So yesterday we created in the last class of lighting we created one light, which is an area light, and we positioned it at the right side of the screen. And this is the output that we have achieved in the last class for lighting. So now we will discuss about how to create another light to create a light effect from the windows. So before that, I just minimize this. And if you remember correctly, we already have a light here. Maybe I go to my top view. So just press space bar. Just press space bar once, minimize. Now move your mouse to the top view. Press space bar again. That's a maximize. Then from here, you can see your light is here at the right side, facing towards inside the scene. So now I'm going to duplicate this light, and I'm going to position this here at the back side of my house, which means behind the window, I want to put this, put the another area light. That's a plan here. Okay, so what we do now here is we are going to duplicate this light and position it here. So we already have area light shape one. Let's press Control D, ensure you select this light, and press Control D to duplicate. The moment when you hit Control D, you could see there is another light which is added, which is duplicated. Control D. You see that now, area light 2, but here you can't see that, okay, because the pivot point is still in the same position. So don't worry, whichever is selected, blue or highlighted in blue, that is selected now. So now area light 2 is already selected. Here also in the channel box or in the attribute editor, you could see there is an area light shape blue. Now all you have to do is you can just click and move. When you click and move, if you notice here carefully, I'm not holding the blue, or I'm not holding the blue, I'm not holding the yellow. Here there is a box, right? I'm going to click here and I move it, so I can move it anywhere. Now you can see that. Yeah, I positioned it. It's facing that side. Actually, I want this to face towards this side. So when I press E and rotate it, okay, you can go to your channel box. Press Q. Q is for selection. Q is for selection. You can click. W is for rotation. E is for scaling. So E is for rotation. W for transformation. So Q selection, W move, E rotation, and R scaling. So I press Q now. So with the Q, you could be able to just select the object, but you can't move or rotate anything. So it is selected now. Now here you could see rotate Y value is 171, which is facing this side. I want this to be exactly facing towards window. So let's round this up from 171 to 180. That's great now. It is 180 and it is facing towards this direction. We push on this line. And let's go here to the perspective view. And here I could see it is positioned there, but the light seems too small. I had to scale this light up a little. So when I press R, and I could scale this up a little more. So you can get a little more light effects. You can just press W and move it a little away from the window, not too close, just move it a little away from the window. And I want to see what difference it would make. So if you remember correctly, if I click this icon, it would take me to that to the render view. So I click here. Yeah, my render view. It is the render view. It is set. Now I can go to my Arnold menu and open the render settings and hit. It's already saved here. So now I can press this and see what changes it has made. So if you notice here, it's like it has created a small amount of light changes it has done. It's emitting because you could see the shadow of this flower vase is falling on this side. So that's a small amount of light which is emitted by that. And in the meantime, I can just, oh, sorry, I just got docked. Okay. So in the meantime, I go to my attribute editor, and there you can find I'm in the area light 2. And here, what if I increased my intensity instead of 1.5, increased to 4? You could see there's too much of light emitted from the outside into the scene. So I could just make this to 1.5 or something, or 1.8. That would be great. Then we have an exposure. You can increase exposure value too. Look at that. If I increase exposure to 4.7 or something, you could it would give you a feel as if the entire room is lit up. But I won't do that. I won't let too much of light energy there, and ensure the normalize is disabled. So I should not go much beyond that value. So a little light from the outside will be fine. And you can increase intensity also if you want too much of light. So that will also give you a different kind of effect, because when you increase the intensity, it's like the entire room is lit up with the actual light. Exposure is all about it. Just whatever the light energy it has, it is just multiplied up. So increasing the exposure would not be a proper way to light the scenes, but increasing the intensity would do it. So anyway, I just decreased my intensity, not too much, only little there. Okay, and there is also another way to do that. For example, if you'd like this light to emit light energy only on certain objects, you could do that also. Okay, for example, if you want this light to emit light only for the flower vase, but not for the window or not for the table, you could do that also. You could see here the flower vase is emitting light for the window also, yeah, and also for the flower vase here, and also for the tablecloth here. So we could change that however you want. You could change it also there. So that is one thing. And when you scroll on, the rendering is done here, but you could still see some noises there, right? Because the number of passes that the system takes to give a render is much lesser. So I would say it as a sample. So go here, you can find the sample. The sample is 1, so the quality is much less. What if I increase my sample to 10? That would increase the quality of lighting, and yeah, that would increase the quality of lighting, but that also requires a lot of processing power. So if you have a good graphics card, that would help you to achieve that. Okay, so this is much better than the previous one. Yeah. So this is how this sample do, and the mode sample is multiplication. What are the total values you have given? Everything is multiplied into the number of sample times. If you give 100, it will be a little more. It's like a polishing the wood 10 times. Okay, so the more the polishing, the better the output will be. So the same effect it will create here. So this is it. And anyway, I just bring the sample to 5, down to 5, because I don't want too much of value now. Because once when I finalize everything, when all my light is done, then I increase all this value to make one final render. But as of now, I'm just testing, and I have to add more lights, and I have to render n number of times. So I don't want to waste my time with higher number of values here. That would probably reduces my every render time. So let's go with a small value now. And when I'm about to reach the final set of my rendering, then I increase everything, then I make the final output. Yeah, that's fine. And also, guys, if you have looked at carefully, it's like it is emitting light here, right? It is emitting shadow also. So when you scroll down, you can find it's a cast volumetric shadow is there. The shadow density is 1. And I think that's the, even if you give 10, it will be just 1. So minimum of 1, 0 to maximum of 1. When you give 0, you look at that, there's no shadow. That's quite bad. Don't do that. You should have a shadow. So a shadow is essential in many cases. You need to give a shadow. So now the shadow is fine. And what if instead of just this, if I click here and choose some other image? For example, if I just, instead of the shadow density, there is a small checker box given at the right side. You can click here and you can choose another file. So when you click file, you can choose any other black and white image you have, you could choose that. Here I have a checkerboard. So this file is to load any image from your system. Okay, but now I go with the checker. So what will happen if I apply a checker in my shadow? So I just applied a checker in the shadow here. So it's like, you see that it's like applying a black and white image on your shadow. Maybe I can just go back. Let me select my area light 2. Yeah, so here is my shadow density. You see that? So we can map the shadow also here. Anyway, I can just right click. I just right click on the name here, or just left click. Sorry, right click and do break connection. Now that's the checkerboard is done. Now I could go back to shadow density because I want everything black here. The checkerboard has black and white mixed, so I didn't want that. And what if I click again and insert this time? I go with something else like fully black, mostly black, like a sample noise. It is like a, yeah, when I give a sample noise, it's also like a mix of black and white. You see that? It's a mix of black and white. You can change the value and however you want this to be seen to be. You see that? When I increase the threshold, it's like full white. So I don't want that to be like that. Okay, this is another one. Maybe select my area light. I right click on the shadow density, the name here. On the name, right click and break connection. It is break. Now, this is how you can just change your shadow density. Like if you want to map any image, you can map also. And the shadow color is black here. But instead of black, what if I choose a ramp here, which is just a 3-color blend of colors? You see that? So there is white. There's a black and white. You can use which color you want. So instead of white, what if I choose some other color, like for a shadow? This is just for the shadow. Sorry. And for the black, I want red, kind of. Okay. Then let me set up my area light 2. There you can see the shadow color. This is shadow color, which is red and the red color, but this wouldn't make much sense to the shadow created by the light. So I just right click and I break this. So let's hit break connection. I broke it. So these are the ways that we can add or change the colors or maps that we can discuss again in the furthermore classes. So then the volume samples. We have a cast volumetric shadows, which has only 2 samples. So we get less here. What if we increase the sample to 10, which is like, again, polishing the wood for 10 times. Similarly, you'll get a similar effect for volume samples. So I get 10. For as of now, I don't want too much time to be wasted on the resources. So I prefer to go with a volume sample of 3. So that would be nice. So let this be there. And again, we have a camera, we have a diffuse, everything there. Please do remember that this is called diffuse. What would diffuse do is diffuse would emit light all around the scene. If you want this area light to not emit light all around the area, then you should not use that. All you should do is you should reduce this. You should reduce the diffuse now. Once when I reduce the diffuse, it will be black to 0. It's like light is not emitting around the entire area. Okay, the light is not diffused entirely. Okay, you can increase now to 1. What if we try 10? Look at that. 10 is like, again, increasing the exposure, but light is just spreaded all around the area as diffuse, but I don't want that. I just want it to be 1. So that's fine. And specularity tells about how much specular effect that can be applied on any given object, like metal or a glass. It's called a specular effect. You could use that also to bring down the reflections or any specular metal property, metal speculous effects. You can use it to bring it down. Anyway, I just bring it back to 1. So that'll be fine. So now we added one more light into the scene, and shadow density is 1. And I don't want the shadow color to be red. The shadow color has to be black. Great. Yeah, the shadow color has to be black. Fine. Then I just go back. This is my, here I have a spread and quadrangle, all the values are there. And if you want to change the color of your light, you can change. So everything is fine now. So use color temperature. This is the use color temperature value we have here. If you want to light it up a little, you can give the value here. So instead of 3, what if I go with 5? And the intensity can be 1.5. So the exposure can be 2. So here it's emitting a good amount of, decent amount of light into this scene. Okay, guys, always do remember, you should not bleach. You should not bleach the entire scene. Bleach in the sense, you should not do like this. This is called bleaching. The property of the material is unknown because too much of light in the area. That is called bleaching. So don't do that. Okay, don't flood the light in the scene, because at the end of the day, the object has to be visible properly. So that is what ultimate aim. And now here, I just switch to another viewport. So maybe I can just middle click here. Sorry, I press my space bar, I go to top view. Now, I'm in the top view. If you look carefully, this is my light. This is my area light 2, which I have placed it or positioned it behind the window. So look at the shadow here. It's fine now. Maybe if I just push it much closer. Yeah, you see there is too much of light, and too much of light is coming much closer into the scene. So it also depends on where you position the light. So it's not something like you have to fix only with, okay, if it is an area light, I can go with 5 intensity or 2 exposure. No, that's not how it works. It works like how you position your light in the scene. If a light is this much distance from the main object, then this would work. If I have to push in the light much closer, then I would reduce the intensity and exposure, because I could see here the light is flooding, it's bleach. I'm unable to see the property of the material on which the light is positive. So don't do that. So it's all about trial and error. It's a heuristic approach. You should try and use it work. You should apply, and you could see the output here. That is how we sort this out. So this is fine now. We have 2 lights now in the scene. This is one light, and this is another light. So let me just click the scene. Yeah, maybe I go to my panel perspective, or I can just press spacebar once, go here, press spacebar again, press the free. Yeah, and you can just see the final output, how it would be. I can stop this and I can re-render. It's taking much time here, but even though I have a graphics card, RTX 3060, it works fine. Please remember that this would take a lot of graphical processor. So if you have a good laptop, it's fine, or if you have a good system, then it's fine, unless it will be difficult. And there is one more thing which is called resolution of the shadow. Instead of 512, what if I go with 1024? So give me a good resolution of the shadows. What if I go with 2048? So again, the shadows will be much good. What if the resolution is 4096 into 2? So it's all about how much output you want, but I don't want to give this value now. I go with 512, which is a minimum value, and so that it would be rendered much faster. Okay, so now we have 2 lights into the scene, and they are lighting up well. And if you notice clearly, it's not lighting the scene too much. There is an what do you call that? A normalized or a mediocre level of light. It is enough to fill the light. It's like we are filling the room here. Okay, but understand something. The main source of this room, the main light source of this room, has to come from the window. So this will be the key light. We call it as a key light, KEYLIGHT. The reason why we call it as a key light is because key is what primary. So the primary light for this room has to come through the window. That is a primary light. So always the primary light will have a huge impact in lighting the scene. So the entire room will be lit better through the primary light or sunlight in the situation. So we have to focus more in the coming classes and make this better. And if you look carefully here, it's not just the light coming from outside sun to the room is good. We should also make the light reflect. So what are the light which falls on here that has to reflect around the entire room and make this much better. Okay, so that's it. We have spread samples, everything is fine. And we have another light inside the scene, which is an area light, which is positioned on the other side. So I think I can increase the sample there also to 5. And I can increase the exposure value also, exposure intensity values a little bit to make the scene a little bit more smoother on software, smoother and softer. Okay, that's fine. If you want to add more intensity, we can add that also. I can increase the exposure a little bit to make the room a little more lit up. So that's how it goes. So now both the lights are done. Look at that. It is just normalizing everything here. And then in the next class, what we would do is we can start to light this flower vase with the help of spotlight. Okay, and we can create more of the lights to make the scene look much better. And now I would like to save this file as save scene file, save scene as interior class 2. So that will help us to go interior class 2. That's great. I just stop this render and go to my view and take store snapshot. So how it was the first light, and this is the second light, the first light and the second light. Okay, so that's how it is. So thank you guys. Again, we'll discuss in the further classes. Let me save the file.